I never thought I would see the day where being a woman who simply minds her business, takes care of her life, and does the best she can as a woman is somehow considered a threat and somehow makes her intimidating in the eyes of other people. But the more I think about it, this is the major reason, in my opinion, of why this is. When a woman doesn't need a lot of outside validation, that makes her unlikable to insecure and jealous people. You see, when people are insecure, they're constantly doing things to try to get the attention of other people. Whereas a woman who is confident and self-assured, she doesn't need to do all of that. People are drawn to her because it's her. And I know how that sounds, but think about it. If you're a woman that's simply living her life, you feel good about yourself for the most part, you feel good about the way your life is going, or you're working towards your goals, you're just doing the positive things that you know to do in your life. You're trying to look good while doing it. You're trying to just take care of your health and just be the best that you can be as a woman. And you're not so focused on what other people are doing. And you don't need somebody constantly in your face to prop you up to make you feel good about yourself. When people see you operating that way, they will look at you like there's something wrong with you, especially if you're in an environment where people are giving praise constantly. Let's say like a workplace, because this seems to be standard in the workplace, where you have like that quiet coworker that just comes there. They look good, they smell good, they doing their job to the best of their ability. They don't really talk too much. They just say what's necessary. But because of that, that one person is a threat in the office, all because they come to work looking nice, they're quiet, minding their business and doing their job. They don't feel like they need to get too close to anybody because they don't need all of that. They're there to make their money and go home. But for people who are intimidated and feel a little bit insecure within themselves, seeing a person who isn't trying to blend in or fit in with other people, and that's really what it comes down to, those type of people are considered a threat to those who are insecure and jealous and just plain out miserable. When you don't try to fit in with other people, especially amongst women, because I see this a lot, and I've saw different memes where women will post, well, you can't sit at our table with us. That kind of mean girl thing where it's like, I saw the Barbie and then I saw the one Barbie with the black hair and the one with the blonde hair, and all the blondes were sitting at the table, but the black Barbie was sitting by herself, not the black as in ethnicity. The girl with the black hair, she was by herself. The message that was being relayed is that you can't sit with us. And that Barbie, that little meme, it said, I don't need to sit at your table. I create my own tables. And while as women, when it comes to relationships, we don't have that kind of mentality. But when it comes to womanhood and how we interact with other women, we're not always going to try to go out of our way to try to get a seat at the table, so to speak. We're not always going to go out of our way to try to fit in with other people. It shouldn't take all of that when you're being authentic to who you are as a woman. When you're being authentic to who you are as a woman, your tribe will find you, and the people who are for you, they will be there around you. And when you think that way, the people who are used to doing the most in order to get acceptance from other people, they're not going to like you. You see, women, and this makes you the most powerful woman walking the earth. When you are able to walk alone until the right people come along, the cliques and the girl groups and the ones who start all the drama and the issues, they're not going to like you when you are a loner. When you're a woman and you're a loner and you're not sad, you're not depressed, you're not upset, you walk alone. Like, you're fine with that. You enjoy your own company. You're fine at work, just enjoying your lunch, putting your earbuds in, enjoying your music or your TV show while you're eating your lunch by yourself, being at peace. People who feel like they have to fit in, they got to be around somebody. I have to be, you got to talk to me. People who are like that do not like women who can just be to themselves and be perfectly fine. And it's not to say that women who are like that are mean or snooty or what other, word they want to have for them. Women who don't need to blend in are often disliked. And if you're that kind of woman, You have to get used to that, and don't try to change your character of who you are in order to blend in with other people. What I see a lot of times, women who are so eager to blend in with these groups, and a little sidebar, if you're over the age of 30, you shouldn't be trying to fit into a group of women. You should naturally let things flow the way they need to. If you still have that like sorority girl mindset where it's like, I really want to be with the cool girls, then you have deeper issues that you need to deal with. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to have friends, with wanting to be in groups, with wanting to be around other like-minded women. That's what I'm doing here. And I would like to believe that many of us have the same mindset, i.e. the reason why you're here. But I say that to say, while there's nothing wrong with wanting to be amongst other women, don't come outside of your character in order to fit in and blend in. And as I was about to say, women who often do that, they will level themselves down in order to blend in with other women that are a little bit classless, tacky, and doing things and saying things that they ought not to say. Sacrificing your image as a woman is not worth being in a girl group or a clique. It's not worth, saying I have a seat at the table if I have to compromise my morals, my standards, and how I operate as a woman. If I can't talk about my goals and accomplishments out of fear that these women are going to feel intimidated or feel jealous of what I'm saying, then that's not the group for me. But you have many women who are so eager to fit in that they dumb themselves down in order to just say they're in the group. And that's one thing that feminine women with class and grace never do. We don't go outside of ourselves in order to try to blend in with women who are, I'll say it, basic in nature. And when their only conversation is to gossip, to cause problems, to have drama, to feel threatened by women who are leveling up and doing better for themselves, they're basic in nature. And you should not want to be in the company of those kind of women, which takes me back to being comfortable being alone and how you become a threat when you are comfortable being alone. When people realize that, dag, I haven't really talked to her all week long. We've been coming to work all week. I haven't said anything and she seems unfazed. You ever notice they'll start asking you little dumb questions or trying to get into your personal life in some way, ask you about people they have no idea about, ask you how your man is doing when they don't know your man, ask to see pictures of your man? Why do you need to see pictures of my husband? Why do you need to see pictures of my children? So you can have something to talk about? So you can fill me out to try to figure out what kind of person I am? You don't need to know. See, it's that little thing right there is the reason why I don't talk like that. You see, people who are so eager, and I'm not saying the well-intentioned people who just want to get to know you, you know the type of women that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the women who try to bait you into these conversations to get you caught up in drama. I'll give you an example. I was working at one job and this lady, it was a new person that started, and they asked me, how did I feel about this person? They didn't say too much about her. They kept it very general. They said about where she was from and all of that. What do you think about so-and-so? I heard she was saying these kind of things about people who work in the department that I work in. So she was alluding to the fact that she might have been talking about me, and she was trying to get me to say something shady about this girl. And I suspect she wanted me to say that so she can run back to her and say what I said to stir up some drama. And because I have that level of heightened discernment and wisdom, and I knew where she was going with her baited questions, yes, women who are jealous and envious and negative in nature and just miserable, they will try to bait you into talking about things that will get you caught up in drama. So when she asked me about her, I just told her, well, I know she works in this department. I really don't know her that well. She seems okay, and I left it at that. And the look of disappointment on her face because I didn't say much, because I was quiet. She thought I was so gullible and naive that I was just going to have mouth diarrhea and start saying a whole bunch of stuff about this girl, and I did not. That disappointed her. And do you know the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the foreseeable future while I worked there, This girl was always giving me the side eye, looking me up and down, rolling her eyes at me, all because I didn't allow her to bait me into getting caught up in gossip and drama. When you are a leveled up, confident woman, when you have wisdom and discernment, you recognize a snake when you hear one. You know what it is to be baited by a woman who is miserable and normally insecure and a little bit jealous. They like to use those little trick questions to get you caught up in drama. And I was not taking the bait. See, these are the kind of things you have to look out for when you don't need validation and you're more quiet and you're confident. People who are weird, and let's just call it what it is, it's deeper than just being jealous, miserable, and insecure. Sometimes they're just outright weird people. They're so miserable that they feel like they have to cause some kind of problems. They ask you questions about things that you don't really care about, and they know you don't care about it. And because of that, they try to trick you and bait you into different things. Don't let people do that. You know, when you're more reserved, people try to fill you out. And when they can't figure you out, they start making assumptions about your character. They say you're quiet, so you must be bougie or conceited. Oh, you're not always in somebody's face, so you must, be depressed. Like, it's from one extreme to the next. Either they think there's something wrong with you, or they think you think you're too good for them or you're better than them, when in actuality, you are just good within yourself. You're at peace within yourself. Women who don't need a lot of validation, and that brings me to my outside point. You don't care to communicate with people who you know are drama-filled snakes. You'd rather be quiet for the rest of your life before you talk to somebody that's going to trick you and get you caught up in drama. And then with men, I have to say this, when you are a woman who doesn't need a lot of validation from men, not that you don't like the compliments, not that you don't like, being told that you're beautiful and that you're doing well and all those things, when you don't need it. And this is a little bit for married women, because when you're a married woman and you're happily married, you definitely really don't care if you get compliments from other men. And you definitely don't care if you are perceived as being, for lack of a better word, a witch, all because you're not giving in to what they're putting out in front of you. I get that often, where men, they'll compliment me and I receive the compliment, but they might go a little bit further and they're trying to get to know me in a way that's inappropriate for me as a married woman. For me, as long as I have the validation of my husband, I truly don't care what another man thinks of me. I don't care if he sees me as a BI, all because I turned him down or I don't want to be bothered with him. And you have to get used to that too. And while you can let men down gently, some men, you absolutely have to draw a stern line in the sand with them because they're a little bit out there. And that's another thing. Men, they're going to think, okay, if you don't like them, there's something wrong with you. Because why would you not like them? Why would you not feel like, taken aback by the compliments they give you? Once again, when a woman knows she's beautiful, when she knows that she is that girl, a man that she's not interested in telling her that does nothing for her. But sometimes these dust bucket men, they don't understand that, and they try to paint you out to be something that you're not, all because you're not giving them the time and attention that they're seeking from you. Once again, when you're self-validated and you don't need all of that from them, you become a threat. This goes with men and women. When you don't need to be at their table and you don't need to be at their group, when they're having a party and you have your own party by yourself or you have your little girl group, they're bothered by that because their little negativity and their pettiness oftentimes didn't faze you, and that makes you a threat. I'm telling you, being a woman that is confident, self-assured, and self-validated, it is a reward, but it also comes with consequences, as in you're going to have to deal with haters who are upset by the fact that you don't need them. A lot of women who are more introverted especially, you don't need somebody constantly propping you up for you to feel good about yourself. And I'm not saying that we all don't need people around us to tell us, you're doing a great job. Who doesn't want to hear that? But even if you don't tell me that, I know that I'm doing well. And let me speak to the mothers for a moment, because many of us, I know there's been many a time where I doubted myself as a mother. Sometimes my children will say or do things and I still look at myself like, am I doing well? Like, what's happening here? Why is my son acting like this? That kind of thing. And the one thing you don't take as a woman, and that makes you powerful, especially if you're a mother, when you don't let the scrutiny and judgment from other people to make you feel bad as a mother. You see, you got some people, and I'm going to say it. I know it might sound a little bit, brash or a little bit rough, and I'm going to say it. If you have never birthed a child, if you've never felt human shoulders come out of your womb, you cannot tell me what to do with my child. I've had some people who are not mothers throw their little opinions about different things, because I have a son who's on the autism spectrum. And I can't tell you, earlier on, I heard so many things, so many people suggesting what I should be doing, what I could be doing, this and that. When a person has not walked in your shoes in a specific situation, they have no right to tell you how to be, especially when it comes to motherhood. There was a lot of ignorance that I had to dismiss and disregard in order to keep my focus on doing the best that I know how to do for my child. Was that challenging? Of course, because when it comes to your children, that's a different emotion. That's a different nerve that's being tapped. I can't even explain it. I don't even have a word for it. It's just when somebody challenges you in that way, you're going to feel that. But even in that, you have to be so confident and self-assured to know that you know what's best for your children, and you have to stand, as they say, 10 toes down on that one. Don't let somebody come along with their worldly understanding but not lived understanding of what your situation is. There's one thing to read things out of a book, and there's another thing to actually have lived a certain experience. If a person has never raised a child with special needs, unless you are one of the, IEP coordinators, one of the teachers, there's really nothing you can tell me, or I believe anybody else, about raising a special needs child. And forgive me if I got off on a little bit of a tangent about that one. That is near and dear to my heart, because I have a 19-year-old son who is on the autism spectrum, and he was diagnosed when he was 4 years old. I'll probably do a video all about my experience raising a child with autism. I'll probably do a whole video on that one. But to get back to my original point of this entire video, when you are a woman who is self-validated and self-assured, that makes you a powerful woman, and oftentimes a threat to those who seek to intimidate you, to make you feel insecure, all because they are insecure. When you don't need to be in the clique to fit in, if you're not trying so hard to be around those people, they will look at you like you're a threat, and it's a blessing because you don't need all of that extra. You just know who you are. But it's also, as I say, a little bit of a curse, because they want you to want them. And when they're snakes, you don't need them. You don't need their validation, whether it be at work, whether it be at school, whether it be at your personal life. What does it benefit me to be complimented and encouraged and all these different things from somebody who doesn't really mean it, and they're doing and saying things just to bait you into doing and being the way that they are? It just doesn't make sense to me. So self-validated women are very powerful, and use that power to your advantage. Next video coming soon. Confidence breeds envy and jealousy. If you are a little bit too confident, a little bit too self-assured, if you are comfortable with who you are and how you are, people who are jealous will not like you. They will treat you as if you've done something wrong because you lack self-esteem issues and you are not insecure within yourself. When a person sees you confident, friendly, taking care of yourself, doing the best you can as a woman, and striving to do better, People who are jealous and envious, they will treat you as if you're doing something wrong. You will see this oftentimes within family, working environments, anywhere where you have to be around people on a continuous basis. You often see these kind of behaviors displayed amongst women. They will say things to you as if, you have like an air about you. You act like you're this. You act like you're, you have like so much confidence, like you're that, girl, like you're, above us or something. And when people speak that way, you don't have any control over how they perceive you. Now, when somebody tells you that they think that you carry yourself like you're better than them, what they're saying is that they don't value themselves, and in your presence, they feel inferior. That's what they're saying. And you have absolutely no control over that. See, self-confidence is exactly what it says. Self-confidence. You have to know that you're that girl, that guy, whoever, when you're around different people. It doesn't matter what that person is doing, what that person is wearing, the kind of lifestyle they have, the kind of business they have, the kind of money they have. If you are a woman who is confident within yourself, things like that will not bother you. But when a person is jealous and envious, your very presence will strike a chord with them. They might feel the need, and you see this in working environments where women are around each other a lot of times. They'll see a woman who is confident in the office. She's walking around, she's friendly, she's fit, she takes care of herself clearly, and she just likes to be, light in the office, light in the environment. Well, a woman who is jealous and envious, they typically say things like, oh, why is she so happy? There was a little phrase going around in my city for a while called Joe. Oh, she acting Joe. Anytime you're being nice, anytime you're being in your femininity and not being a no-limit soldier, this is one thing that I believe a lot of women who are jealous and envious and insecure, they lack femininity because they've been programmed to believe that they have to be no-limit soldiers, that they have to be hard, that they have to take life serious all the time, that they can't be too girly or otherwise they're going to be perceived as weak. But when a woman is confident and self-assured and she's in touch with her femininity, you will see her walking through, her energy will be felt wherever she is. And a person who is jealous, that's like kryptonite to them. A confident, feminine woman is kryptonite to a woman who is jealous and insecure. And you, as a confident, feminine woman, you have to make, and I know it's probably not going to be what you want to hear, but you're going to have to try to go out of your way, especially if you're in that environment, like an office environment or a school environment. You're going to have to try your best to be more nice to that jealous person. Because when people feel like they want to pick at you for some reason, it's because of their insecurities. And people like that, you really have to pity. You really have to, what they say, you want a hug, like what you want a cookie, you want a hug. You have to give them verbal hugs. You have to give them reassurance. People who are jealous, they more than likely have never had anybody tell them that they're beautiful, that they're kind, that they're this or that. And a lot of times it's because they're not displaying the behaviors that would warrant somebody to want to give them that kind of reaction. But you, as a feminine, gentle woman, have to exercise a little bit of your patience with that person and try to make conversation with them if it's possible. Believe it or not, a lot of jealous people, they don't really want to be that way. They just don't know anything else. And a lot of that has to do with how they grew up, their environment that they're currently in, maybe their relationship status. All they know is hardness. And I think that's the culture of how society is right now for women. All women really know is how to be hard. We've been taught from a young age oftentimes that we have to compete with men, that we have to be as strong as men, that we have to do exactly what men do. And because of that, women partake in these non-existent contests within themselves amongst other women who are normally not even worried about them. And when you're dealing with a woman who has a competitive mindset towards other women, they're always threatened by somebody they don't know. They dislike people because of kind traits. Women who are jealous and envious of other women tend to be envious of another woman's kind-hearted nature, because once again, it comes back to the programming of women being more masculine instead of feminine. They always will look at women who are more feminine, more kind, more gentle, more soft, as if they are a target to be picked on, to be belittled, to some way be bullied into dumbing themselves down in order to make that jealous person feel good about themselves. And you will see this when women take little pot shots. You might be looking really nice, but she'll go out of her way to pick out something about you and try to use that as a dart to bring you down. And if you're not a feminine, confident woman, you will let the miserable rhetoric of jealous, envious women do that to you. But back to my original point, I know it's hard, but the more you lean into your femininity and you have that kindness and grace about yourself, you will understand, as a feminine, confident woman, you have to be an example for jealous, more hard, more masculine women. And especially, once again, if you're in an environment where it's like a work or a school or, just anywhere where you have to be in that environment, even with some of your family. Some of our family, they've been raised in the old school, which a lot of things were traditional, but also within the Black community especially, it's very matriarchal, where the women are more so in charge. The women are more so, leading everything. The women have a whole lot more say than what the men do. And that's just been traditionally down the line, where Black women tend to be a little bit more hard, a little bit more rough. And of course, I'm speaking to all women, but I'm a Black woman. So naturally, I'm going to speak to certain things pertaining to just us. And I see the hardness a lot within us because it's programming passed down from decades and decades ago. And I know a lot of it is because many women of color, had no choice because men weren't doing their job. But with that came that hard nature, that hard decorum, the way they just carry themselves like they're soldiers all the time. And that has trickled over to looking down on women who are still traditionally soft and traditionally feminine. And now, when it's not course corrected, women who are used to being more masculine, now they become jealous of women who are now getting in touch with their femininity, who are leaning into being more soft, who want to have a more soft life, who don't want to do everything the hard way, who wants to look beautiful and not be ready to run at any moment. I was taught that, you really want to wear sneakers wherever you go, especially if you go out, because you never know if something will pop off. Feminine women with the feminine soft mindset, don't worry about things like that. But when women are more hard and more masculine, they just tend to always be in fight mode. And that'll be another thing that women who are jealous and envious and insecure, if you're not in constantly fight mode, if you're not ready to pop off at any moment, if you're not the ghetto friend, if you're not the ratchet friend, I'm sorry, I just had to say it how it is. If you're not the pop off queen, if you're not the one who's always down for whatever, you will not be liked. A lot of women, when you're more feminine and more confident, you choose your battles wisely. I know the more I leaned into my femininity, the less time I had for a whole lot of drama, a whole lot of arguments, a whole lot of fussing. I don't really feel like I need to insert myself into other people's problems and make it my problem. But women who are not in touch with their femininity and have insecurity and jealousy, all they know is somebody else's issues. They haven't taken the time to work in their own self-development, their own feminine development, to become better women. And when they come across women who are not worried about what other people are doing, they're focused on themselves. When they carry themselves like women, and that's another thing you do not see today. And I'm not saying all women, but a vast majority of women are carrying themselves in this way where it's like, hey, the face you see is the face you get. I rolled out of bed. Look, I'm going looking however, I don't care. The image of women. When women don't care about their image, their femininity fails, and eventually their life will fail. If they don't care about how they look physically, if they don't take care of their mental, if they are spiritually depleted, of course they're going to be jealous and envious of a woman who's walking around who has a level head, a beautiful body, and a beautiful mind. Of course they're going to be jealous of that. And you, as a confident feminine woman, hopefully a woman who has a spiritual understanding, You have to show more kindness to those kind of women. You have to offer them a little bit of grace. And I know none of this is popular that I'm saying, but you have to offer them and extend a little bit of grace, because a lot of women were not taught how to be feminine. A lot of women were not taught that taking care of your appearance and focusing on how you speak and the tone of your voice and showing respect and using manners. A lot of women were not taught that. So when they come across a woman who is more feminine and you're saying your pleases and your thank yous and your excuse me's and you're having a little girl chat and you're smiling a lot, they'll look at you like you're weird. They're going to look at you as if, oh, why is she so happy? What's she so happy for? I remember my daughter telling me, and she's a teenager, so teenagers, girls, they have their moments. And the thing about the teenage thing, when it's not nipped in the bud early in life, they turn out to be mean girls telling you and saying the things that I'm saying right now. But my daughter told me she was in like chorus, or they have some choral music or something, and she was singing, dancing around, just enjoying herself in the class. And she said she looked over and saw a girl just looking at her with like the skunk eye, like that kind of thing. And I said, what did you do? She said, nothing. I just rolled my eyes and kept on singing. I said, good. But I give you that example to tell you that sometimes the teenage girls become the women who are doing those same things, all because they see your happiness, all because they see your joy, all because they see your confidence and your level of unbotheredness, and the fact that you're not letting life harden you, the fact that you enjoy being a woman. And that's another thing, that many women who are jealous and envious and insecure, they don't really enjoy being a woman because their womanhood is more like manhood. They don't understand that to be a feminine woman, to be a woman, is to be able to be surrendered. And when you surrender, and this is my opinion, but I believe is wholeheartedly the truth, number one, you must be surrendered to God. Because when you're surrendered to God, you truly understand your nature as a woman. You understand that you weren't built for certain things like a man was built for certain things. So when you're surrendered to God, you can surrender to your femininity and you can act accordingly as a woman. Number two, when you're in a relationship as a woman, many women who are insecure, jealous, and envious of more feminine, confident women, it's because they are hard in their relationship. It's because they are the man of their own dreams. It's because they don't know how to submit to the men in their lives, or they might not be able to because the men are feminine. And that's unfortunate. But when a woman doesn't have a soft landing in her life, she's naturally going to be jealous of the woman who does. She's going to be jealous of the woman who smiles when she's speaking about her boyfriend or her husband. She's going to be jealous of the woman who, seemingly has a happy home life, because she doesn't have that. And once again, you, as that confident woman, you have to try to show a little bit of grace. And I'm not saying to throw your life in other people's face. Don't brag all the time and stuff like that. But people who are jealous and envious, anything you say can be perceived as bragging. You could have said, I got a new car, and didn't get into the details of what you got. You could have got a 2002 Chevy, whatever, that got 3 wheels. They don't know. But when you say you got a new car, somebody who is envious and jealous, they're automatically going to think you're bragging. So I'm not saying not to speak about anything, all because somebody might perceive it as you bragging, because the jealous, envious spirit, anything you say will be considered bragging. But once again, for us as feminine women, using that grace, you have to use a little bit of grace with people who are jealous. And what I find when you deal with people who are a little bit jealous and insecure, even when they're not jealous of you per se, they just have that jealous spirit. They always have something negative to say about somebody's happiness. Try to engage them about things that are happening in their life. Try to make it about them. Now, you got some women that are as hard as nails. And this is if you're trying to have a relationship with a woman who seems like she has an envious, jealous spirit, but it's not because she wants to. It's just like something about her. You could tell something's wrong, like something happened to make her that way. Those kind of people, you have to try. And I'm telling you, the power of the feminine influence. Sometimes we are able to influence women in a way where they start waking up and realizing, I don't have to be this miserable. I don't have to see the negative in everything. I don't have to look at other people as a threat. Feminine, confident women can be inspiration for women who are jealous, but don't really want to be that way. There are some women, like I said, they just were never taught what it is to truly be a feminine, kind, confident woman. And you have to be that example for them, unfortunately. And it's actually an honor and a privilege to be able to be an example, because that shows growth within yourself. And it shows that you are not a woman that is just so self-absorbed where you think you're the only one. Look, my goal for this channel is to have other women grow into the knowledge of who they are as women, as feminine women, and be so confident that they don't have to be jealous of the next woman. See, if we can nip that in the bud, there would be less girl-on-girl issues. There would be less girl-on-girl jealousy. There would be less envy and strife amongst women when all women tap into their femininity and realize that they too are wonderful women at their core if they take their time to stop being a hater and focus on getting themselves together. Okay? So confident feminine women, when you're dealing with jealous women and you're a little too happy, yeah, they might not like that. But sometimes you're going to have to show grace to the ones who you think, you know what, maybe it's just something with them and maybe I can be an example here. I know it's hard. It takes a level of grace and maturity, but as feminine women, that's what we do. All right. And if the woman that you're trying to inspire, the woman you're trying to give a little grace, does too much, as I said before in previous videos, get rid of that person. Stay away from them, because jealousy and envy can be very dangerous. But if it's a woman who just has bad programming, like many women have had, try to show grace, try to be the example, and under no circumstances do you dumb yourself down.